Alright guys, welcome back to another one of my videos, and today we're here to talk about the PlayStation VR2 and the games that I think originally came out on the PlayStation VR1, essentially exclusives for the PlayStation VR system, that I think definitely need to be ported over to the PlayStation VR2. These are games that, haven't been put anywhere else, and I really want to see them kind of brought over from the PlayStation VR over to the PlayStation VR2 because I think a lot more people need to experience it. As the PlayStation VR2 gets more and more popular, we want to see these games get, a second life on this system and have more and more people explore, because these games were fantastic on the PlayStation VR. You can only find it there, and I definitely want more people to, experience these games. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so the first one here coming in at number 10 is Tiny Tracks. I don't know how many of you guys played this one on the PlayStation VR 1, but it's a fantastic top view of a racing game. What really sets this one apart is just the colorful and fantastic designed tracks in this game. They're all really unique from one another, and you're racing these tracks around, through these amazing, you're racing these cars around through these amazing tracks, going through loops, as you can see here, all these different variety of tracks that are in here. It really is a standout. I haven't played a lot of games like this in VR, and it'd be great to get this game over to the PlayStation VR 2 and get it enhanced and get to be able to play this game online with folks again, because it was such a great game with the way that these tracks are designed, and it's not something a lot of people have experienced, and I think a lot of people would love this game and give it a second shot on the PlayStation VR 2. The next one here coming in at number 9 is Fract. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this game when it first came out, but it is a action FPS game that is really unique with the way the movement style is and the way it works in this game. And obviously you're skiing and stuff like that, and it's a really unique game. The only thing that was quote-unquote bad about it was the fact that it was a little short. It was only like 4 hours or so, but the content in itself and the action and the FPS and the movement system and going around is really fun. It reminds me of another game on this list that we'll talk about later that's coming up closer, to the top spot. But this game in and of itself was great. I'd love to see it ported over to the PlayStation VR 2. It was actually ported over to the PC, but I'd love to also see it on the PlayStation VR 2 with the new controllers and the haptics and stuff and the OLEDs to just experience this game all over again, from the PlayStation VR 1, because I thought it was a fantastic game, even though it was rather short, that I think more people need to experience. The next one here coming in at number 8 is Iron Man VR. This is one of my favorite VR games that I talked about last year. Yes, it's on the Quest as well, and this is where I ported over to the PlayStation VR. Or sorry, it was on the PlayStation VR 1 and then I got ported over to the Quest. But I would love to see this ported over to the PlayStation VR 2 to get the higher fidelity graphics on the PlayStation 5, of course, to get those haptics, to get those better controllers. Because this game shined on the PlayStation VR, but it was held back because of those Move controllers that we had to deal with, and obviously the PlayStation 4 system itself. The fact that we can now get this ported over to a higher end system with better controls and stuff would be fantastic. And for people who are Marvel fans and have always dreamed about being Iron Man, this is that game in VR if you guys have never played it. It's so much fun to be flying all over the place like Iron Man, using his suit, and it's just a fantastic game for Marvel fans and for action gamers alike. The next one here coming in at number 7 is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, I remember first playing this on the PlayStation VR and how fantastic this game looked, and I love horror games in VR. It's one of the standout things about VR, and obviously we have Resident Evil Village sitting on PlayStation VR 2. But I would love to get Resident Evil 7 ported over to the PlayStation VR 2 to use those fantastic OLED screens. Horror games, obviously, with the deep blacks and the deep colors would be fantastic. And obviously, this game was great when it came out. A lot of people loved it. It's a standout game on the PlayStation VR. And I really want this ported over. I thought this game was fantastic, and it would be great to have all the Resident Evil games in VR on one platform instead of one being on one and one being on the other. Being able to use those screens and use the higher fidelity graphics on the PlayStation 5. I really hope that they consider porting this one over from the original PlayStation VR over to the PlayStation VR 2. The next one here coming in at number 6 is Farpoint. I don't know how many of you guys remember this one with the aim controller that was on the PlayStation VR. Hopefully we get something like the aim controller to work on the PlayStation VR, because that would be great. But this game, it was an FPS game. It was a fantastic FPS game, exploration, going through and finding and exploring the world and killing all these alien-looking creatures and stuff like that. It had online multiplayer or online co-op as well, which was really cool. Again, Another one of those standout titles that only came out on the PlayStation VR that I would love to see on the PlayStation VR 2. And these things that you fought were huge, and they were scary, and they were, you know, fantastic to kind of fight through and go through these levels and stuff. The action felt great, especially on that game controller. We need something like that on the PlayStation VR 2 so we can see, you know, that in even better clarity. And speaking of seeing, let's get a word from our sponsor.
If you guys are tired, just like me, when you get into VR, like on the PlayStation VR 2 or on the Quest 2, and you wear glasses just like me, and even though you know that, hey, these do fit in there and they do work, but they're just not that comfortable to wear, and you're just like me, well, then I got a product for you.
VRWave is a company that makes these fantastic VR lenses that you actually put inside your PlayStation VR 2 or your Oculus Quest 2 or your Oculus Quest Pro. So you can see here on the PlayStation VR 2, we got the VR lenses already on there. And what's great about these lenses that I really like is that you don't have to worry about scratching your actual lenses that are on your PlayStation VR 2 for one thing, because they're obviously overcoming it. And then when you put these VRWave lenses on, you get a screen clarity that's 100% because the screen size of the actual lenses go to the whole entire lens size, so you don't have to worry about, you know, seeing through your glasses and seeing through the edges of your glasses and not getting the 100% clarity that the lenses actually offer. One of the things that I also like here is that the lenses are actually removable. You can see that right there, that they're magnets. So this is the actual holder on the PlayStation VR 2 that magnetizes, and all their lenses are like this. And then you basically just take the lens when you have that in there and just kind of plop it on, and then boom, they're right there ready to go. And that's easy to come out. So if you have friends come over and you have your lenses in there, it takes 2 seconds to take out, and then you can put them in there 2 seconds later once your friends leave.
As I mentioned, I love VRWaves' lenses for all my VR headsets because of the easy installation of just putting it on, and then easy uninstallation when you have friends come over with those magnets, and you can just take the VR lenses on and off anytime you want. They give you, you know, ease of use. They give you the fact that you have 100% screen clarity because the lenses are going over the whole screen. You don't have to worry about seeing through your glasses and seeing the edges of them, which is fantastic. And you protect the lenses from the actual headset since there's a, you know, obviously it's going over top of it, so you don't have to worry about scratching your internal lenses, which is great. And I don't have to wear glasses in VR anymore. Once people try VR lenses like these in VR, I don't think they'll ever want to go back if you guys wear glasses like me, because it just makes everything so clear. You don't have to have these clumsy glasses in there worrying about scratching anything or being uncomfortable, pressing on your face or anything. These things are fantastic, guys. Really easily installation, really fantastic quality. Check out VRWave. There's a link down in the description so you guys can save a percentage off your order and get your own lenses today.
The next one here coming in at number 5 is Wipeout Omega Collection VR. I love the Wipeout series. It's been a PlayStation staple for a long time, this racing game where you're behind a ship racing through these crazy levels and stuff, and the Omega Collection was fantastic. There was a lot of content in that game. Surprisingly, it didn't make anyone sick or anything for the most part. Playing a racing game at this fast pace, you would think it would, but it didn't. And it was a fantastic game on the PlayStation VR, and this definitely needs to be ported over to the PlayStation VR 2 because it's a Sony franchise, and it's a game that we're not going to see anywhere else from the Wipeout franchise. And they have a great game already, so I would love to see this coming over to the PlayStation VR 2 so we can continue playing this game on the higher end specs, because this was a lot of fun on the PlayStation VR when I played it. The next one here coming in at number 4 is Until Dawn Rush of Blood. Now, granted, we just got the sequel to this game on the PlayStation VR 2, so this one might not happen, which is really unfortunate, and I guess I'll keep my PlayStation VR around just for this game. But this kind of set the world on fire for horror fans when it came out on the PlayStation VR. This is still the game that I go to kind of show off people who are, you know, want a horror game, want to have like a 10-minute experience to kind of scare them and show them what VR can do. You know, shooting all these guys and going through a horror game, being on a roller coaster, all that stuff. This game had everything about it. It was on a roller coaster, it was great horror, it was really scary, and it was great. And I would love to see this ported over, even though they have a sequel on the PlayStation VR 2, which is not as good as this one, unfortunately, especially on the horror side. So I would love to have both options to have on you know, the PlayStation 5 ecosystem, so we can kind of play both. And hopefully that's something that they consider, because a lot of people would definitely purchase this if they didn't purchase it the first time, if they actually ported it over, because this game was fantastic in so many ways. So hopefully it's something that they consider, even though it's a little bit harder of an ask just because they have the sequel already out. But otherwise, I'd be keeping my PlayStation VR system just for this game, because I would love to replay this all the time during Halloween season and show it to friends. So check this one out. The next one here coming in at number 3 is PlayStation VR Worlds. PlayStation VR Worlds was a demo of sorts, which kind of showed you, you know, different ideas that they may have had. I love showing this one off, the jaw thing that was going on, that they had in here, where you actually experience a shark and stuff like that in a tank. Really got to people when I showed it off to friends. They had the shooting mini game on here. You know, all of these different things that kind of showcase where VR can go. And even though it was a demo of sorts, there was a lot of content in here and a lot of fun to be had and a lot of things to explore. And I would love to have this compilation ported over to the PlayStation VR 2, because it's, again, that shark attack there that you're seeing, you know, is a fantastic showpiece, and there's still nothing like it on the PlayStation VR, you know, system besides that one. So that was a great one. The racing scene in here, all that kind of stuff that really made this kind of unique and stand out. It's not something we have, so I would love to continue having this on the PlayStation VR 2, continue being able to, you know, explore these worlds and play this game, because there's a lot of fun to be had in this compilation. The next one here, coming in at number 2, is Blood and Truth. Probably not a surprise to most people. Blood and Truth is one of my favorite VR games, not just on the PlayStation VR system, but just in general, period, on any platform I've played. It's a James Bond action type of thing, and it's just crazy action all the time. You know, shooting all these things. The moving system is great. The action and the set pieces are fantastic. It is an explosive experience. The graphics are fantastic on this one. Again, I would love to see this on the PlayStation VR 2 to get the higher fidelity, to get the better haptics, to get the better controllers and replay this game, because this is a game that everyone needs to experience in VR if they haven't already. It is that good. I love this game if you're into the shooting action FPS genre, James Bond, John Wick type games. This is the game for you, and we need to have this being ported over. Hopefully it's something that they're considering, because I would love to see it. And the last one here, coming in at number 1, that's not going to surprise anybody, is Astrobot Rescue Mission. Again, this is one of my top VR experiences, sitting easily in my top 5 of all time on any VR platform. And it'd be a shame if it gets stuck only on the PlayStation VR, and people who now get PlayStation VR 2 don't get to experience this game. Not only do I want this game ported over, but I definitely want a sequel to this game. Because the game is that good. It's like Mario for VR. You have this Astrobot, which has kind of become the mascot of PlayStation VR in general. You're going through these worlds, you know, using him in unique ways, and it was just fantastically well done in every way, shape, or form. It's one, like, again, it's one of the best VR games I've ever played, and we need this game ported over so more people can experience it, or for those of us who did, just to be able to experience it again, because it's that good, and I would definitely want to play it, you know, with the higher end specs and the controllers and stuff like that. But if you like platformers and stuff like that, like Mario and stuff, but it actually uses VR in creative ways, this is it. It's not just a typical Mario where you're just looking at things in 3D, but it uses VR in that genre super, super well. It uses the headset completely. You can bash things with your head and actually feel it, you know, using the controller and everything. Whoever's listening out there, please make this game and port it over to the PlayStation VR 2. And also, please give us a sequel to this game as well, because it definitely deserves one as one of the best games in VR I've ever played. So, Astrobot Rescue Mission, number 1 spot to be ported over to the PlayStation VR 2. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video on the PlayStation VR 2 and the games that I think should be ported over from the original PlayStation VR to the PlayStation VR 2 ecosystem. There's a lot of great games already out for the PlayStation VR 2. I think there's a lot of good games that people can now play on it, and there's more stuff coming out every month. And I hope that some of these games that are on my list make it over so I can replay them on the PlayStation VR 2 with the better headset, the better controllers, and all that stuff that kind of, you know, makes there be a reason. Obviously, the higher fidelity on the PlayStation 5, if they go through and actually, you know, improve these games and add higher textures or better frame rates and stuff like that, would also be fantastic. But some of these games, you know, especially that top 5 list, definitely needs to be ported over for sure. And I hope that Sony's listening and other developers are listening and to get these games over. So, guys, if you guys have any questions about anything you guys have seen in today's video, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.